theology and Christianity. Those are some of the subjects Hollis Daniels has focused on while in jail for the last 5+ years. And that is the testimony of 2 witnesses who took the stand today in the sentencing phase of Daniels' capital murder trial. Daniels pleaded guilty last week to shooting and killing Texas Tech police officer Floyd East Jr. in October of 2017. KCBD News Channel 11's Shaylee Sanders has sat in on this trial for nearly 2 weeks now. She joins us now live from the courthouse with more on how Daniels is passing the time. Shaylee.
Angie, you may be familiar with the Christian author C.S. Lewis. Today, a professor, not from Tech, but from another school here in Texas, took the stand and said that he actually specializes in the communication of C.S. Lewis. That's something he has a passion for. He's taught classes on that. He told the jury that a friend had connected him with Hollis Daniels and said Daniels, too, had a passion for C.S. Lewis and his writing. They started writing. They started corresponding. The professor said at the beginning of that relationship, he didn't know that Daniels was incarcerated. He said he later learned that Daniels had been jailed for capital murder. He said they had deep conversations about certainties and uncertainties in Christianity, Christian traditions. He also said Daniels appeared to be very bright. The professor said Daniels had told him he wanted to help people. The defense asked the professor if he believed Daniels could still be able to help people from prison. The professor said he believed Daniels was genuine, earnest, and could serve any community by just sharing some of his own personal struggles and his questions when it comes to theology and Christianity. An extended family member also took the stand. He said he has visited Daniels in the Lubbock County Detention Center about twice a year since 2019, and he said that Daniels told him he had a problem with Xanax, that he sometimes blacked out when he was on Xanax, and that there were memory lapses from the night of the murder. And I do want to tell you, so we are standing in the Lubbock County Courthouse right now. We are in a courtroom that is not where the trial is happening. No cameras or any sort of audio recording is allowed in that. So we're standing just kind of above that courtroom. The trial is still going on. We have Case Wilbank sitting in for me while I'm doing this live shot for you. He is telling me that Daniel's grandmother is on the stand right now, and we'll have an update for you today at 4. Angie.
All right. Thank you so much, Shaylee. We appreciate it.